Let's explore all three areas of AMC cash flow to see if we can do any interesting finds. Alright, so we're going to look at operations, investments, as well as financials. Operations is the business side, the operation of the theater chains, and then investing will be acquisitions, spin-off of different business units, and then financials, you will see cash flow from such things as dividends, such things as new issue of shares. And it will be interesting and it will paint a picture because the numbers do tell a story as always. Alright, if we just get right into the numbers here, we can see that in terms of net operating cash flow, this is the important part of the operation activities cash flow statement. So you see everything is divided into different areas, however it's summarized here in net operating cash flow. And we can see here that they're making a profit in 2018, 2019, and then 2020 all of a sudden something very bad happened globally and they're making a huge loss from operations of a little bit more than $1 billion. And then we can see that the loss continues and then it's still there in 2022, although they almost halved the amount of loss from the initial start of the pandemic here until the full year of 2022 that we just have the earnings for. So this is fresh data here regarding AMC. However, with this cash flow, how is the company able to stay afloat? Well, we will see this later on in the cash flow statements. But first, investing activities. We can see that they've been doing acquisitions, theater chains with parentheses here. This costs money. They're paying money to acquire, for example, a theater chain in Sweden they purchased. So you can see here that 17.8 million for 2022. They've been doing investing activities for the full year as well. And then they also sold off fixed assets and businesses, although in a smaller amount. So this is represented by this post. And you can look at these in details if you want, if you pause the video. However, we're just going to move on to the important part of the investing cash flow for AMC. Once again, net investing cash flow. And as you can see, they have been investing, cash flow have been negatively. They have been paying for other businesses, maybe some real estate could show up here, maybe purchasing some sort of theater equipment that's needed, that has a long time shelf life. We say it can survive for a long time, so it won't be part of quick goods that just go in and out. Don't know the English word for it right now. Alright, but moving on to financing activities, and this really ties the knot in the sack on the story here. We can see an interesting story in the net financing cash flow. So for this super bad years here of pandemic, we see investors coming in clutch, and AMC is able to raise 1.33 billion here in 2020, the start of the bad times here for them, and then in 2021 as well, raising about 2 billion, and then just a small loss from financing activities here. This will be things such as ape stock will show up here, new issues. We can see here, for example, proceeds from stock options making huge gains here in the cash flow. And then also issuance or reduction of debt. So taking on loans or paying back loans. If they pay back, it will be negative. This is negative for cash flows. We can see here for 2022, they're paying back on loans. And then for 2018 here, we can see them taking on loans. And this will show up as positive in the cash flow because remember, it's money in. And here we can see the story here. The story the numbers tell is of a theater chain that's doing all right. It's carrying along. And then all of a sudden, in the year 2020, they lose a ton of money, just terrible. However, with the help of financing coming from the apes here, in this case, that invested a lot of their money, they were able to sustain and not bleed out on the cash flow, and they were able to keep the business alive. And we can see that they are still struggling with negative cash flows from operations. However, they seem to be stemming the tide. And I think, in my opinion, the company could become profitable in the future as long as investors continue to pay for new equity and put their money into the company. Then it could go on forever, basically. So very nice to see. Maybe it's a lot of nostalgia from investors that I want to keep their favorite movie chains alive, so they choose to put money into the company to keep it going. I don't think there's a big chance to make any money from this company. We can see this massive irregular activity here. I think it was called a short squeeze, and then now it's back to the trend line. It's more on a normal downwards trajectory, more in line with fundamentals, although it's still a bit overvalued in terms of the results from the actual business and in terms of the story that the cash flows are telling us. All right, that's been it. Taking a look at the different areas of cash flow in AMC and commenting a bit on my opinion on future outlook. But of course, as always, I hope investors make a ton of money, whatever investments they decide to make. All right, take care now. Bye bye.